Hi, good afternoon. We'll begin with a recap from this past weekend. Going on the road, playing an 11 a.m. game requires, for our team to think the right way. I thought that they did a great job of thinking right about the trip itself. It's easy to think about how difficult and how early, and instead they thought about it as, a great opportunity to be the first game up. To go on the road and play 4 quarters with the competitive edge that they've been looking for in terms of playing for 4 quarters. There's always that sense of playing early and getting back home. So I thought they did a great job of, thinking the right way. And then, you have to flip that switch from preparation to performance. And to do that, you've got to play with a sense of urgency, and you've got to have the emotional control, but play with an edge. And they got off to a fast start. Played with great effort and enthusiasm. There was really an attention to the details out there, and finished strong. So that's what we're looking for from our football team. That's an identity that we want to create each and every week. And certainly one that we believe that we can be. Now it's about building on that and looking for that consistency. There were obviously some great performances, as highlighted by Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors being named the SEC Co-Offensive Players of the Week. The play of the two of them, was certainly elite. Daniels, 425 yards of total offense. The numbers. But I think if you really look at it closely, some of the things that maybe don't get the attention was his presence in the pocket and how many times he got hit after delivering, a great throw. Sometimes we cut it off and see the ball in the air, but you don't see the play all the way through. And made some great throws under duress. Those are NFL throws. Some of the ones that he made, not backing down, staying in the pocket, knowing that he was going to get hit, and still delivering the ball with great accuracy. And Neighbors, obviously, his ability to handle any coverage variations. And look, the things that sometimes don't get talked about. He maintains space on the field. He carves out an opportunity to catch the ball. Many times we see defenders squeeze out offensive players. Malik is strong and physical as well, and he can hold his line and give the quarterback an opportunity. So hats off to both of those guys. Great work, and look to do the same. I don't know that there's any reason why they can't continue to play at that level. Obviously, defensively holding Mississippi State to 7 total yards on their first 3 possessions. I thought defensively coming together, allowing just under 100 yards rushing in the SEC in terms of anything that you do is a job well done. 3rd down, we were really efficient. We got off the field. And again, harassed the quarterback. Got the quarterback down, had sacks, did the things that you need to do in the SEC. You've got to play that kind of defense. So all in all, a great performance on the road, and now something that we need to certainly build on moving forward. Get a chance now to play another SEC opponent in Arkansas. I think we all know about this game. It is a hard-fought, physical game. Each and every year, I think the last 3 years have been decided by a total of something like 9 points, I think. It's a rivalry trophy, battle for the boot, annual trophy between the two schools that started back in the mid-'90s. So I know our guys understand who they're playing and the tough games that we've had with them, including last year. So they'll be prepared for that. Now it's about preparing the right way again this week, and then, playing with that competitive edge. So Looking forward to that. They've got some really good players. Sam Pittman does a great job. Have a ton of respect for Sam, and he'll have his team ready to play. Bouncing back after last week's loss, he'll have his team ready to go, and we'll have to respond in kind. KJ Jefferson, the quarterback, 3-year starter. I think we all know about his size and strength. He can run the football. Raheem Sanders, A.J. Green, 2 outstanding backs, Armstrong, and the defense, although a new defensive coordinator, outstanding coordinator coming from UCF. He's had great success, great pedigree in the SEC, was with Kevin Steele at Auburn. So we know we've got our hands full. So certainly looking forward to being in Tiger Stadium this Saturday. We're going to take advantage of being there because we won't be back for a little bit. So we'll talk about that and make sure our guys relish the opportunity of playing at home. We had a couple of guys that did not play. I'll talk about them briefly. First of all, Omar Spates had that, what we felt like was a lower body injury. I would list him now as probable. Ovia Gufu, the same thing, lower body injury. I'd list him as probable. Same thing with Mason Taylor. All of those will be probable. Greg Brooks is out. I don't have a lot that I can report on Greg. It is a family matter, so I'm not going to speak on the family's behalf. If there's anything that I can get to you further after I speak with the family, we'll certainly give you information. But Greg is dealing with a medical emergency, and he will not be available. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Coach, is it right up here, just to your left? Is it Greg's medical emergency? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Greg has a medical emergency.
Just the defense that you rolled out there, had one of the best showings of the year. Obviously, it had a lot of new faces. Was that the best 11 that you could put out there, or was it the best 11 at the time? Did you feel really good about it in retrospect?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we had a lot of confidence that Braden Swinson would be able to go in there and play at a high level. He had during the year. Whit Weeks, we knew what we had. We had a young player, certainly a true freshman, but he can run all over the field. He's extremely athletic. I think you get a little concerned when you play a lot of true freshmen. Certainly in the back end of your defense. Ryan Yates came in and played really well. He was clean. He was disciplined in his alignments. He was assignment correct. But, you got 3 true freshmen on the field. On the road in the SEC, I don't think you're running around going, oh, this is great. But we had confidence in them that they could go out and play well. I think what it shows more than anything else, and Coach and I were talking about this, Coach House, is that we have more than 11, and we need to play them more. It's kind of like what we talked about the week before with Guillory and certainly Jefferson at the tackle position. They didn't play enough the week before. They played much more, and you can see how that helps our rotation at the defensive line. I think you'll see now that we can play a lot more at the linebacker position and the safety position.
With that, Coach, right over here, you mentioned Spates being probable for this week. How, in your experience, have you handled having a young guy like Weeks with Spates having so much experience and just handling kind of that role going forward with those guys and having, obviously, playable depth?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the guy that's really settled this for us in terms of, whoever he's been with has been Greg Penn. Greg's been outstanding. He's a settling factor out there for us. He gets guys lined up. He communicates very well. And that's a guy that we want to keep on the field. So, we'll be moving guys around to complement that. And I think, the best rotation keeps Greg on the field, and then we'll move guys in and out with him.
In the middle here, Coach, do you ever think about over the last year and a half where you would be without Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. Obviously, we've won a lot of football games, and certainly his ability to win the game with his feet, or in this instance, throwing the football and running the ball, he was as good as anybody in the country, and we've seen a development now that we were in week 3. I think if you look at week 3 last year, and was it the week we threw for 85 yards? I think it was, and now he's throwing for 30 for 34. So we've seen incredible development at the position, and I think that that's what's more exciting than where would we be without Daniels. It's fun to watch the development of a quarterback in that respect.
Coach Ray. Matthew Bruin with On 3. Mason Smith now through 2 games. Just how have you seen him continue to get comfortable, and where do you think he's at?
Yeah, I think he's getting there. I mean, we saw some things that he wasn't doing against Grambling that now he's starting to impact the game a little bit more, and I think that'll continue to grow as he continues to play himself in a position where he can play at a high level each and every snap. So, he's physically a presence in there, and we expect him to continue as the season progresses. He's going to be an impact player for us. So feel good about where he's gone over the last couple of weeks, and expect to see more of him as we move forward.
Yeah, Brian, in the middle, sorry. You've gone for it 8 times on 4th down so far this year. It would have been 9 with the first drive on Saturday.
Right.
Does that have anything to do with the clock changes? Have you philosophically changed at all just when you decide to be aggressive and when not to?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about this a little bit before. I think I use a combination of good sense in terms of what the game feels like. We use analytics, so I'm plugged into what the analytics are telling me relative to 4th down. And as you know, most of the analytics are much more aggressive than we are as we watch the game, right? 4th and 2 or 3 used to be considering a field goal inside the 10. Now it's almost 100% go for it. So I think it's a combination of getting a sense and feel for the game and how you feel like you might have control or not control of the game, plus the use of analytics. And then when you have a quarterback that is multidimensional, it really puts a defense in a bind. So I think we have those 3 factors working for us when we get to 4th down calls.
Hey, Coach, right down here. It's 2 years now in a row where you guys have played freshmen early in their careers, and they've largely responded. I'm wondering, just as a whole, though, how does that affect you guys on the recruiting trail? I mean, just over the last couple of weeks, I know you can't go into specifics with this, but just the conversations and stuff that you're talking to with these recruits about just you come here and you develop and you can see the field early and play often with us.
Yeah, look, everybody, I think, is in this recruiting cycle, we're recruiting young men that believe and have confidence in themselves that they can play right away. And certainly there are other factors that they consider now in making decisions on where to go, looking at the depth chart and looking at, can this help my, NIL? I mean, there are other factors now involved in that. So what we can tell them, and this is what I tell them all the time, I'm not afraid to play freshmen, but I'm going to play the best players. And if that is a freshman, I'm playing a freshman. If that's a graduate transfer, I'll play a graduate transfer. And I think our track record shows that the best players are going to play. And if you're a freshman and you can handle it mentally and physically, we'll put you on the field.
Brian, speaking of freshmen, of all the great plays you guys had Saturday, the one that got the most attention in replay was Caleb Jackson running over the safety right in front of your bench. I was kind of curious what went through your mind when that play happened. And we see media fans, fans, we see a player who's making great individual plays. Do you see the same thing, or you see someone who's still developing and still has a lot to learn, or where are you with him and what he can contribute to the team?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious answer is physicality, explosiveness, but a young man that is still learning how to play this game. Remember now, if you look back on his high school career, he was not a 4-year player even in high school. So, he's learning how to play the game every time he steps on the field. And he's terrific to coach. I mean, the great part about it is he doesn't have much baggage. He's learning a lot about the game as we go along. We're talking to him about some of the rules as it relates to kickoff. If the impetus of the ball goes into the end zone and it hits you, you don't have to take it out. These are foreign things to him. So, just teaching him the game and him learning the game is kind of where we're at with him. But it's easy to see the raw physical ability, but there's so much more to that, and that's if you, and I know you did, you watched the game closely, you saw what Diggs and Williams were able to do in third down protections against a very difficult scheme. Caleb's not ready for that. He will get ready for that, but he's just not there yet.
Coach Savion Jones seemed to really impact the game early, pressure on the first drive, sack on the second drive. What are you seeing out of him?
Just moving better. Here's a bigger guy that is starting to come into his size. He put on a lot of weight in the offseason. Good weight, but he's now having to play more football than he's ever played. He's starting to get a sense of how to train and put himself in a position to handle himself with this new role that he has. And I think he's only going to continue to get better. We saw that suddenness. We saw that reaction that we weren't getting earlier in the year. The game's starting to get easier for him again, and I just think he's going to continue to get better.
Over here, yep. Brett Martell with AP. Do you have examples from throughout your coaching career of teams that maybe didn't do as well as expected right out of the gate, but turned out to be quite formidable, that have been instructive to you as you kind of try to figure out what are the remedies for not starting the way you want in a season?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably, give you a number in 32 years of doing this. The specifics I'd have to take some time to think about. But I think that unless your team is ready-made, and I made it pretty clear with 14 transfers and the amount of freshmen that we were going to have to play, that's a red flag. I mean, if you're really looking at it carefully, that's going to require some tweaking. That's going to require for you to really understand that there's going to have to be some movement in terms of changing direction, with your team along the way. We were able to do that, I think, and I think we're finding the formula for this team. But I think that, most teams that I've had, there haven't been as many that are just add water and just go. They all require a little bit of, changing the formula as the season goes along to get the right mix.
Competitive edge was a phrase that was used a lot after week one. This was the first game that I think I saw LSU push first instead of get pushed. How much of that was a point of emphasis, that toughness, I guess, out of your team and kind of taking it to the other team early?
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly, we're looking for gentlemen off the field, but not gentlemen on the field. And I would say that, going back to what's the right mix, I want tough guys on the field that play the game the right way. I don't want to be, a team that's penalized and we hurt our team, but we want guys that have a toughness to them. And then off the field, we want gentlemen. We might have played like gentlemen both on the field and off the field, and that's not who we are. And I think we're trying to find that identity. I think we're getting closer to it.
KJ Jefferson is a guy that's obviously been starting for years for Arkansas. Just your evaluation of him and if you've noticed anything different with his development this year.
Well, I think it's like any other quarterback, right? I mean, when you get into the final year and where you feel like this is your year, you want to do well, and I think he's he certainly feels like this is his year to showcase himself. So, I thought maybe, if you look at the last quarters, he's trying to make plays, but he's got a lot of new players around him as well, So it's not all about him, I mean, he's got some young players that have to develop, or new players that have to develop around him. But he's still the big, physical, athletic quarterback that scares you. He's hard to bring down. He's got a live arm, and we're going to be prepared for him to play his best against us.
Hey, Coach, over here. Just building off of that, you talked about playing against some mobile quarterbacks early in the season, and y'all played against Will Rogers, had a lot of success, maybe not as mobile as the other quarterbacks y'all played against, but what are some things that you can take away that can translate to the success y'all had on Saturday against Will Rogers, against another mobile quarterback?
Well, I think fundamentally, a lot of the things that we talk about are, keeping the ball in, leverage the defense, keeping the ball inside the pocket, making quarterbacks earn it instead of, giving up, easy, rush lanes, all those things that are the fundamentals of playing good defense. We weren't on point early on. We were much better on Saturday. When we leveraged the ball, when we held the point, when we did our job, we made it very difficult for Mississippi State. We're going to look to do the same.
Coach, what are the pros and cons offensively on 3rd and short, 4th and short, running out of the shotgun as opposed to getting under center and then handing it to a guy? And what do you debate there?
It's really about, where are the reps taken the most? Like, what do you do the most in your offensive structure? If you're a team that runs shotgun like we do 99% of the time, do you carve out, how much time do you carve out for a direct snap offense? Because you have to carve out time for that. And then you have to be able to put in that time within your practice structure to work on your direct snap. With direct snap, you have to think about direct snap quick game, play action pass, all the things that go along with that, 5-step, 7-step drop. So, we have all that. It's just, is it from what we do with a quarterback that can run option, is that best suit a Jaden Daniels? That might suit another quarterback that we have to run a little bit more direct snap. But with a guy like Jaden Daniels, it suits us better to be in the shotgun.
Yeah, Brian, right here, 2 questions. First, Harold Jackson, did he seem like he was back in his comfort zone Saturday? And the second one is, what did Mississippi State do to take Will out of his, I guess, he usually plays pretty consistent, but he had a rough game on the offensive line.
So I think with Perk, I think just playing with that energy, playing with that edge, he's got to learn where that balancing act is, right? We don't want to get him in a position where he's taking a swing at somebody, he's out of the game, but he's got to play with energy. He's got to play with emotion. That's how he plays the game the best, and I thought he brought that. I thought he brought that competitive edge, and that's going to put him in a position to get to the quarterback and set the edge and run people down, and you just got to play. He's just got to play that way, and I think he was tweaking it and trying to find that. Early on, he was playing inside. He was thinking a lot. He was slowing down. I think he's coming back to finding what that balance is. Look, the first penalty on the goal line, that was on our center. The center did not snap the ball on the clap. Will gets called for a procedure penalty. The holding, we know all about holding, right? It is debatable on the call. The only one that I had a conversation with him is the retaliatory action with the helmet. And I said, look, you wear 7 and you're a captain. You got to make better decisions. But that's the first time I've ever talked to him about making a bad decision going into his sophomore year. So I think we're on the plus side when it comes to that with Will Campbell.
Just real quick, do you know when Greg might be back again?
Do not. Do not.
And then what was it kind of about Whit Weeks that y'all liked and trusted in him to be able to make a start in an SEC game for the first time?
First of all, he has elite speed at the position. He can cover the field. He can run mistakes down. And when you can run mistakes down, that gives you a real advantage in terms of playing the position. The second thing is he sees an open gap, he's going to take it. You saw that early in the game. He shot the gap, TFL. He's got, obviously there's a learning curve there. There are some things that he did that, we're going to have to continue to work with. But when you have a guy that's that athletic, has a really good sense in pass coverage. He's not lost out there in pass coverage. And I would say that probably is the reason why he's out there, because he's not lost in anything. Can he get better in areas? Absolutely. And then he makes up for a lot of that with high-end athletic ability.
Mississippi State was in the back. Mississippi State was the first of 5 SEC games for the team. How do we see that this weekend's performance is reciprocated in the next couple weeks? And then how have you seen the team's adjustment to the no stop clock rule on first downs?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? We're going to play 4 more SEC opponents. We need all hands on deck. We've got to be able to play with the same kind of competitive edge, the same kind of preparation. This is the grind of it now, right? This is where you get into your process and making sure that everybody has an understanding of doing the little things the right way every single day. We're off and running now. This is the good stuff for coaches. Players, maybe not so much. They want to get to Saturday, but we got to keep them focused on every single day. The clock rule really has no effect on what we do and how we operate. It's stopped before the half, and it's stopped at the end of the game. So if it didn't get stopped there, maybe there'd be some alterations and changes that you would make. But because it's stopped in those critical possessions, it really hasn't affected us at all. Thank you.